We're here with the founders of the Fountainhead Residency, Catherine and Dan Mikesell, and I really want to introduce our viewers to what you guys have going on here.
We started the Fountainhead Residency over a decade ago, which I still can't believe that we're on our 11th year, but we started it in 2008. And we really started it because when we started collecting, we quickly realized that we were so much more drawn to a work of art once we had the opportunity to get to know the artists. We've been collecting since 1998. We wanted to do more to give back to artists, and at the same time, we wanted to do more to give back to Miami. The city was exploding in the arts, but at the same time, it was still in its infancy and still needed to be nurtured. So in starting the residency, it enabled us to do both things.
Fountainhead has 3 artists that are flown in from all over the world, and they spend between 1 and 2 months here. So they live there, they work there, and we connect them to people in the Miami art world.
Now, and you have a big event here, so every time you bring a group of artists, you bring all your friends, collectors, they come here. For some of them, it's their first really experience with a lot of people being able to see their work, right?
A lot of why we do that is because not everybody's comfortable going into galleries and going into museums, and kind of another part of what we're trying to do is bring more people into the art world in a way that is non-intimidating.
Right.
So when you come to a house to see an artist's work, you automatically feel comfortable. You know, everybody, you think of a home, you think of family, you think of, you know, being open, you think of conversation.
We like to give the artists more information than they had when they came about the business of art. So allowing collectors and museum people to come in and talk to them without that filtration of a gallery puts them on the spot a little bit. And so they have to explain their work, defend their work, and potentially sell their work.
So what's the future? What do you see as the future of Fountainhead?
Well, we made a big step, a big change recently. We decided to turn it into a nonprofit, so now we are fundraising and receiving grants and building our donor base.
And one of the things we're doing now, which is really interesting, is going after artists in non-art hub markets outside of New York, LA, Detroit. Tremendous artists out there don't get the attention they deserve, so we're bringing them in here.
You know, when we look at artists, we're looking for artists that are at an inflection point, right, where a residency like ours can really have an impact, a long-term impact on them. Come back for the open house.
Yes, we're going to come back for the open house, and I want to see that, and I want our viewers to get a chance to see the party. I had the pleasure of talking to Dan and Catherine about Fountainhead Residency, and I said I have to meet the 3 artists who are here for this session. Rena Luca.
Yes.
Pleasure meeting you.
Same here.
All right, so where are you from?
Originally, I was born in the West Indies in Trinidad, and now I live in Boulder, Colorado.
Being in Miami, has that changed the way you made your work?
Oh my God, I love Miami. Miami for me is magical right now. I wish I could stay longer because it really fed the work. The story I'm trying to tell through my work, you know, involving my grandparents coming over from India to harvest cane. They worked the cane fields in the early 1900s when the British started bringing over all the Indians. So even though I know that sugar has a colonial history, it has a violent history, for me, that smell was home. Right now in Trinidad, there's no sugar. There's nothing left. So when I came to Miami, I'm thinking, you know, wow, this would be great. I love it. It's very tropical. And then I find out that there are sugar fields here. There are cane fields. And so I took it upon myself to go there and work the field. You know, I wanted to have at least a small feeling of what it would be like. So for me, it's a very personal, very close kind of portrait and video that I'm doing right now. I feel really close to it.
Was this something you expected to do?
No, absolutely not.
So, Elena, pleasure meeting you. So you're here for Fountainhead Residency.
I deal with a lot of archives and research-based practice. So with this particular show, I'm dealing with the archives of quote-unquote radicalism, whatever is considered radicalism.
So this piece here, is this one of the pieces where you got the kind of historical documentation?
I was really interested in the color and the vibrancy of the Black Panther newspapers. I was in love with how internationally focused it was at the time. I wanted to show that and to show maybe different perspectives, their attention and interest in women's issues as much as male issues or things beyond those binaries. So I wanted to put all that history as much as I could without being completely didactic. These are students of mine at Michigan State. So I wanted to think about a younger generation, the generations that are just coming up now, and how or if they've been influenced by social movements of the past.
So we're here with Alexandria. So what is your work about? Like, what do you, or is it about something, or just a feeling? Is it?
It's about a little bit of a feeling. I'm really exploring the psychological and emotional feelings associated with identity and developing a sense of self and coming to terms with who you are and figuring out your place in the world.
There's some duality going on.
A lot of duality going on. That's the name of the series that I'm working on.
Oh, really?
The duality series. I'm in white spaces in grad school.
What were they getting straight into?
They were just obsessed with me and the autobiography, my autobiography, and not the work. And I said, just because they're brown figures in the work doesn't negate the universality of the concepts I'm exploring, nor does it mean that it's about me.
Could this be the duality of things as well? Like
Yes,
dealing with that issue and dealing with where you were coming from and how these different worlds connecting?
It is. It's both about conceptual duality and dualism and also a physical dualism. It's about masculinity, femininity, like we were talking briefly about before, gender skewing and blurring those gender boundaries and boundaries around sexuality, but also looking at how the figures are in relation to one another, how they're interacting and engaging with each other, and also the spaces that they're inhabiting.